When doctors gave Marcus Bryant 6 months to live, a pharmaceutical giant saw dollar signs instead of a dying man. Derek Walsh and Helix Pharmaceuticals tried to silence the elderly herbalist whose simple drink was saving lives they'd given up on because healing without profit threatened their empire. But Marcus and his daughter Emma turned desperation into a movement, exposing corporate greed and proving that ancient wisdom could triumph over modern corruption. Listen to how one family's fight for survival became a battle that changed medicine forever, and why sometimes the greatest cure can't be patented or controlled. Marcus Bryant sat in the sterile examination room, the manila folder in Dr. Richardson's hands seeming to weigh 1,000 pounds. When the doctor finally slid the papers across the desk, Marcus's fingers trembled as he picked them up. The medical terminology swam before his eyes. Hepatic fibrosis, advanced cirrhosis, liver function at 18%. But it was the final line that made his vision blur with tears. Prognosis: 6 months without intervention. "I don't understand this," Marcus whispered, his voice cracking. He looked up at Dr. Richardson, searching for some sign this was a mistake. "There has to be an error. I barely drink. Maybe a beer with dinner once a week. I go to the gym. I eat healthy." Dr. Richardson removed his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. "Mr. Bryant, Marcus, alcohol isn't always the culprit. Sometimes it's genetic. Your grandfather passed from liver disease, correct?" Marcus nodded numbly. He'd been 12 when Grandpa Joe died. "Your liver has deteriorated at an unusually rapid rate. The scarring is extensive. Without a transplant." Dr. Richardson trailed off. "And given your age, you're considered a moderate risk candidate. The waiting list for liver transplants in this state averages 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, Marcus repeated mechanically. "But I have 6 months. Arnie, we'll do everything we can. There are treatments, medications that can slow the progression, possibly buy you more time." "I'm 42 years old." Marcus's voice rose, then broke. "My daughter just started college. She wants to be a teacher. My wife Jennifer just quit her job to help me expand the business. We finally paid off the mortgage last year. This can't be happening." Dr. Richardson's practiced sympathy was the worst part, that apologetic look that said he delivered this news before and would deliver it again. "I'm so sorry, Marcus. We'll start treatment immediately." The bills arrived before Marcus even felt truly sick. The initial tests alone cost $8,000. Insurance covered 60%, leaving Marcus staring at a statement for $3,200. Then came the medications. Dr. Richardson prescribed antivirals, immunosuppressants, and experimental compounds designed to slow liver damage. "This one isn't covered by most insurance plans," Dr. Richardson said, pointing to a prescription. "It's new, still in advanced trials, but it's shown promising results." The pharmacist's face told him everything. "That'll be $2,400 for a 30-day supply." Marcus actually laughed, the sound bitter and hollow. "For 1 month?" He paid it. He took out his credit card and paid it, because what else could he do? Jennifer found him that night at the kitchen table, surrounded by medical bills and insurance statements. Their savings account showed $43,000. Their retirement fund held another $120,000. "How bad is it?" Jennifer asked quietly. "The treatment Dr. Richardson wants costs about $4,000 a month out of pocket. That's not including regular appointments, blood work, follow-up scans." Marcus rubbed his eyes. "If we drain savings, we have maybe 10 months. Then we start on retirement." Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she stood, walked to the bedroom, and returned with her jewelry box. "My grandmother's pearls are worth at least $5,000. The diamond earrings you got me, maybe 3. "Jennifer, no. What else are we going to do, Marcus? Let you die? Sell it. Sell all of it." Their daughter came home 2 weeks later. Emma had been so excited about college, about living in the dorms, joining the debate team, finally studying literature. She'd earned a partial scholarship. She walked through the door with 2 suitcases and a determined expression that looked heartbreakingly adult. "I'm taking a semester off," Emma announced, her voice steady but her hands shaking. "I already talked to the registrar. They'll hold my scholarship if I defer for medical reasons." "Absolutely not," Marcus said, rising from the couch. The movement made him dizzy, and he gripped the armrest. "You're going back to school." Emma set down her suitcases and crossed her arms. "Dad, I've done the math. I checked our insurance portal. I know how much your medications cost. I got a job waitressing at Morton's restaurant and morning shifts at Starbucks. Between both, I can bring in about $3,000 a month." Marcus felt something crumble inside his chest. His 19-year-old daughter, who should be worried about exams and boys, was sacrificing her dreams to pay for his medication. Baby girl, you shouldn't have to do this. Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. You shouldn't be dying at 42, but here we are. The first month of treatment, Marcus felt okay. Tired, yes, and the medications made him nauseous, but manageable. By month 2, he had to hire a manager for his cleaning business. Getting out of bed had become a 30-minute ordeal. Month 3 was when everything collapsed. Marcus woke one morning to find his abdomen distended, swollen with fluid. His ankles were twice their normal size. When he tried to stand, his legs buckled. Jennifer found him on the floor, unable to get up. The emergency room doctor explained ascites, fluid buildup caused by liver failure. They drained 3 liters and sent him home with more medication. His weight plummeted. The muscle he'd spent years building melted away, leaving skin that hung loose on bones. His face became gaunt, cheekbones sharp, eyes sunken into dark hollows. The pain started around week 10, a constant burning in his right side, beneath his ribs, where his failing liver struggled. Some days it was dull. Other days it felt like hot coals pressed against his organs. It happened on a Tuesday night. Jennifer was downstairs, Emma working late. Marcus had gotten up to use the bathroom, clinging to furniture. He made it to the sink before his vision darkened. His stomach clenched violently, and he leaned over the toilet. Dark blood, thick and viscous, filled the bowl. His esophageal varices had ruptured. He tried to call for help, but his voice came out as a whisper. He reached for the doorknob, but his coordination was gone. His legs gave out, and he collapsed hard, his head cracking against tile. Jennifer's scream would haunt his nightmares for months. The hospital kept him 2 weeks. The financial counselor explained this hospitalization alone would cost nearly $70,000. They'd lost the house by then, couldn't make mortgage payments. Jennifer's sister Patricia offered her basement. Emma's face had changed. The soft roundness of youth had been carved away by stress and exhaustion. She worked 14-hour days and came home to sit by her father's bedside. Dark circles ringed her eyes. "Dad, please," she begged one evening, holding his skeletal hand. "There has to be something, some treatment we haven't tried. Please don't give up." But Marcus could see it in Dr. Richardson's eyes. The experimental drugs weren't working. His liver function had dropped to 8%. The transplant list remained years long. He was dying. Patricia had watched the family disintegrate for 3 months before she worked up the courage. Her friend Susan had taken her husband Thomas to a herbalist in Chinatown when Western medicine declared his liver disease terminal. Patricia had been skeptical, called it desperation. Then Thomas recovered. His liver function normalized within 3 months. The doctors couldn't explain it. One evening, Patricia found Jennifer in the basement kitchenette, staring at cold tea. "I need to tell you something," Patricia said quietly. "There's a woman in Chinatown, Margaret Cho. She's an herbalist. My friend Susan took her husband to her last year when he had end-stage liver disease. Like Marcus." "Patricia, he's alive, Jen. His liver function is normal. His doctors can't explain it. Whatever Margaret gave him, it worked." Jennifer's expression cycled through hope, skepticism, desperation. Some herbal treatment? If something like that existed, doctors would know. Would they? Or would pharmaceutical companies patent it and charge $100,000 per treatment? Patricia gripped her sister's hand. "Marcus is out of options. What do you have to lose?" 2 days later, they made the trip. Jennifer and Emma helped Marcus up the stairs and into Patricia's borrowed car. He weighed so little they could practically carry him. The drive took 40 minutes. Marcus drifted in and out of consciousness, each bump sending pain through his abdomen. The shop was squeezed between a restaurant and a laundromat. Faded red paint peeled around the doorframe. Windows cluttered with glass jars filled with dried herbs and twisted roots. A small sign read, "Cho Traditional Herbs." Inside smelled of earth and spices. Shelves lined every wall, packed with ceramic jars and glass bottles. Dried plants hung from the ceiling. Margaret Cho emerged from behind a beaded curtain. She was tiny, barely 5 feet tall, slight and bird-like. Her face was deeply lined, but her eyes sharp and clear. She wore a simple blue tunic, gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She studied Marcus in silence, her gaze traveling from his yellowed eyes to his distended abdomen to his skeletal limbs. Then she nodded once. "Your liver is very sick," she said simply, her English heavily accented but clear. "Western medicine has given up on you, yes." Marcus managed a weak nod. "Can you help him?" Emma's voice cracked. "Please. The doctors say there's nothing more they can do." "Sit," Margaret instructed, pointing to a wooden bench. "Wait here." She disappeared through the curtain. They heard grinding running water, glass bottles clinking. The scent of crushed herbs intensified, mixing with boiling water. 20 minutes later, Margaret returned with a glass bottle filled with dark green liquid. It looked murky, almost thick, particles suspended throughout. "Drink this," she instructed, pouring a measure into a ceramic cup. 1 cup every night before sleep. Very important. 1 cup, no more, no less. Marcus stared at the murky substance. "What's in it?" Margaret counted on her fingers. Milk thistle for liver repair, dandelion root to clean blood, turmeric for inflammation, burdock for toxins, artichoke for bile production, also schisandra, reishi mushroom, astragalus, licorice root, ginger, fennel, yellow dock, Oregon grapefruit. She continued naming herbs. 17 herbs total, all work together. Western doctors think one chemical fixes one problem. Chinese medicine understands body as system, everything connected. These herbs support whole system, let body heal itself. "And this will cure him?" Jennifer asked, trembling between hope and disbelief. "Cure is wrong word. Body cures itself when given right support. This drink gives liver what it needs to repair. But Marcus must help. No alcohol, no processed food, no anger, no stress. Must rest, be peaceful. Understand?" Marcus nodded weakly. "How much do we owe you?" Margaret waved her hand. "Pay me when it works. If it doesn't work, you owe nothing. Fair?" Back in Patricia's basement, Marcus sat on the bed, the bottle beside him. Emma poured the first cup, measuring exactly. The smell made his stomach turn, earthy and bitter, with undertones of licorice and something metallic. He raised the cup and drank. The taste was worse than the smell, bitter beyond belief, with medicinal sharpness that made him gag. It coated his throat, thick and unpleasant. He forced himself to swallow, then grabbed water. "That's the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted," he gasped. "Good medicine usually is," Jennifer said, trying to smile. Marcus didn't believe it would work. How could random herbs mixed by an old woman succeed where thousands in medications had failed? Impossible. But what did he have to lose? Marcus woke the next morning expecting the usual stabbing pain, the nausea, the overwhelming weakness. The pain was still there, but duller, less sharp. The nausea seemed lessened. Probably just a good day, he told himself. But on the third morning, he sat up without Jennifer's help. The movement didn't send dizziness through his head. On the fourth morning, his appetite returned. By the fifth day, Emma noticed his eyes looked less yellow. Jennifer rushed over, tilting his face toward light. "She's right. The jaundice is fading." Marcus looked at his hands, his arms. The deep yellow tint was lighter, definitely lighter. He stood slowly but without assistance. His legs held him. "I feel better," he said slowly. "Not good, not healthy, but better. Like my body isn't just shutting down anymore." Jennifer called Dr. Richardson, insisting on blood work. The doctor agreed, though his tone suggested he thought it pointless. The appointment was scheduled, blood drawn, sent to the lab. 3 days later, Dr. Richardson called. "Marcus, I need you to come into the office, immediately." "What's wrong?" "I need to see you in person. How soon can you get here?" 2 hours later, Marcus sat in Dr. Richardson's office, Jennifer gripping his hand. The doctor kept staring at his computer screen, then at Marcus, then back, his expression cycling between confusion and disbelief. "Your liver enzymes have dropped by 40%, Dr. Richardson said, voice carefully controlled. "Your bilirubin levels, critically elevated 3 weeks ago, are now approaching normal. Your albumin production has increased significantly. According to these results, your liver function went from 8% to 22%. He turned the monitor. "This doesn't make medical sense. Advanced cirrhosis doesn't improve. Scarring doesn't reverse. Marcus, what have you been taking?" Marcus told him about Margaret Cho, about the herbal drink. Dr. Richardson listened, expression shifting from skepticism to genuine interest. "I want to analyze this mixture," he said. "If this is real, if these results are reproducible, we need more tests. But Marcus, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Don't change anything." Marcus left in a daze. 22% liver function. 2 weeks ago, he'd been at 8%, actively dying. Now he'd more than doubled that. Maybe Margaret Cho's impossible green drink was actually working. Marcus sat in Dr. Richardson's office, Jennifer gripping his hand. The doctor kept staring at his computer screen, then at Marcus, then back again. "I've run these tests 3 times, Dr. Richardson said, voice carefully controlled. "Your liver enzymes have dropped by 40%. Your bilirubin levels, which were critically elevated at 8.2, are now at 2.1, nearly normal. Your liver function went from 8% to 22% in 3 weeks. He pulled up imaging scans. The scarring pattern has diminished. Your liver tissue appears to be regenerating. Is that possible? Jennifer whispered. No, the doctor said flatly. It's not possible. Cirrhosis doesn't reverse itself. Liver tissue at this stage doesn't regenerate. This contradicts everything I learned in medical school. He looked directly at Marcus. What have you been taking? Marcus hesitated, then told him about Margaret Cho and the herbal drink. Dr. Richardson's expression shifted through disbelief, skepticism, and finally fascination. I want to analyze this mixture. If this is real, if it's reproducible. Marcus, do you understand what this could mean? Within 2 weeks, pharmaceutical representatives arrived at Margaret's shop. Derek Walsh from Helix Pharmaceuticals made his pitch with a professional smile. We could help 50,000 patients with Helix's resources, Walsh said. We're prepared to offer $2 million for your formulas. Margaret didn't look up from grinding herbs. No. He returned with $5 million, then $7 million. Each time, Margaret refused. On his 4th visit, Walsh's warmth had vanished. You're sitting on a fortune. People are dying every day. You could save thousands, make millions. Instead, you're hoarding your secret in this cramped shop. I save people every day, Margaret replied calmly. I don't need millions. These formulas belong to the earth, to generations of healers. Anyone could make this if they knew how. Then tell us how. You want to own the cure. Patent it. Charge prices desperate families cannot afford. This is not healing. This is business. Walsh's eyes narrowed. We'll find out the formula with or without your cooperation. After he left, Margaret called Marcus. I need your help. Helix moved quickly. They hired laboratories to reverse engineer the formula, but the mixture was too complex, the proportions too precise. So they launched a different attack. Health inspectors suddenly appeared, citing violations that had never existed before. The medical board investigated her for practicing medicine without a license. Marcus watched with growing anger. They can't do this, Emma said furiously. They have money and lawyers, Marcus replied grimly. Jennifer set down her coffee cup decisively. Then we fight back. Marcus contacted dozens of people Margaret had helped. Their stories were remarkably similar: terminal diagnoses, failed treatments, then impossible improvements after Margaret's herbs. Emma created a website uploading their testimonials with medical records. The local news picked it up. Chinatown healer threatened by Big Pharma went viral within hours. Dr. Richardson published case studies. Other doctors spoke out. Patient testimonials flooded social media with undeniable evidence. Helix's stock dropped 12%. Protesters appeared outside their headquarters. The health department's case fell apart when journalists discovered the inspector had received consulting fees from Helix. Emma's fundraising campaign raised $300,000 in 2 weeks. Pro bono lawyers volunteered. 15,000 people signed a petition that landed on the governor's desk. Walsh made one final attempt with a check for $5 million. Last offer, take it or we'll bury you in legal fees. Margaret looked at him with pity. I already have everything. This knowledge was given to me by my grandmother. It's not mine to sell. It belongs to the earth, to people who need healing. You're a fool. Perhaps, but I sleep well at night. The health department withdrew their citations. The medical board dropped their investigation. Helix issued a statement withdrawing from the matter. 6 months after his terminal diagnosis, Marcus returned to Dr. Richardson's office. Medically speaking, you should be dead, the doctor said, shaking his head. Your liver function is at 68%. The scarring has reduced by 70%. Everything is normal or near normal. I've never seen anything like this. Will you write about it? I already have. 3 journals accepted my papers. Medical schools want Margaret to lecture. The NIH wants to fund proper research into her methods. Margaret's shop expanded into a larger clinic with the fundraiser money. She trained other herbalists, passing on generations of knowledge. Emma changed her major to herbology and integrative medicine. Marcus rebuilt his business but spent every evening at Margaret's clinic, helping desperate families like his own had been. One evening, Margaret turned to him. You asked me once why I wouldn't sell my formula. Do you understand now? Marcus nodded. Because healing isn't a commodity, it's a calling. Yes, and because when you give freely, the universe gives back. I helped you, you helped me. Now together, we help others. Marcus looked around the clinic, dried herbs hanging from the ceiling, bottles on shelves, an appointment book filled with names of people seeking hope. The pharmaceutical companies had called this place worthless. They were wrong. This place was priceless. His liver had regenerated, but so had his faith in humanity, in compassion over profit, in wisdom that couldn't be bought or patented. Margaret's simple drink had saved more than his organ. It had saved his soul, and now together they would save others.